hopping a hand for
Be careful.
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
And welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And we thank you for joining us, as you do every week, those of you that are watching us live here on Twitch TV, Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling, where we go live every Wednesday night at 8:30. You can also catch us on our Facebook page, Behind the Funny. Follow us there and get notified as to when we are going to go live. So if you guys get a chance, go to the Behind the Funny Facebook page, get notified. You can watch us live there. If you're listening to us, that's when we go live. Wednesday nights, 8:30. We bring a guest on. You guys can interact with us, ask some questions.
You can ask us questions.
You can
in
ask
the comment section.
a few fucking questions.
That's right.
Shit.
Hey, watch out. My kids are here.
We
They got
should-
worse language than I do.
I was going
You
to say
kidding?
they talk.
No.
Kids nowadays are way worse.
Absolutely.
But anyway, again, we appreciate you guys so much tuning in. We got a new bourbon date this week.
Yes, our bourbon date this week. Well, you tell them about it, because I walked in like 3 minutes ago and said, hey, who are we drinking tonight?
Well, I brought in two. One was an Old Flame, but we wanted to try something a little new.
Right.
I had heard a lot of really good stuff about it. It's Russell's Reserve, 10-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and it's got a 92 rating.
You love 10-year-olds. Whiskeys, that is. Whiskey.
Someone's gonna isolate that shit. There was too long of a pause.
Like
there.
all the times you said I worked for Dick.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
This is the
My
first time.
phone.
This is the first time I'm editing. But anyway, you heard it here.
Yeah.
Ace loves his 10-year-olds.
Yeah. Whiskey.
Whiskeys.
Yes.
But cheers, my friend,
Whiskeys.
and happy day after your birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
And
know.
may the 4th be with you.
Oh yeah.
Mm. Anyway.
I made it through the whole day without somebody saying it till just now.
I'm glad
Made
I
it
could
through the whole
disappoint.
day.
Hey, I don't want to keep our guests
No.
waiting too long, because, hey, folks, guess what?
We have a guest
We
this
have
week.
a guest this week. It's been like, it seems like it's been like a fucking month. We have had a bad run of guests with issues that have come up by no
Yeah.
fault of their own, just issues that have come up.
Scheduling conflicts.
Scheduling conflicts. One person, his fiance's mom went into hospice the first time. Then he was scheduled again. The woman passed away. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, his future mother-in-law passed away.
At least he's using that as an excuse.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah,
I don't care
exactly.
anymore. But this is, so it's funny because I think the next 3 shows, it's going to be like
All reschedules.
it's all rescheduled. So it's their name, and it's no, really this time. So this guy was supposed to be on last week, had an issue that came up, and so he wasn't able to. So when the reschedule from tonight couldn't, because his future mother-in-law passed away,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, can you do tonight? He's like, absolutely.
It actually worked out.
So it worked out perfect. So this guy is, and it's perfect timing to have him on too.
yes, yeah, we'll get
because
into
of
that.
some of the things that have been happening over the past couple of weeks in comedy and to comics. I think I've wanted to pick his brain about what he feels about this.
Perfect.
So, but first we'll get into it with him and talk a little bit about his career, how he got started and stuff like that, the usual format. But we want to welcome to Behind the Funny, Mr. John Moses. And there he is.
Hey, John.
Fellas.
Buddy, how you doing?
Oh, man, I liked it when I was zoomed in, because then you could see less of the mess.
Oh, that's all right.
Honestly,
going,
we've had much worse than that.
Listen, bro.
Seriously.
You want to really do it? Hold on. Watch this.
Perfect.
There you go.
Now we can really
Oh,
see
no,
your
no.
message.
Oh, hey,
There
Slay.
you go.
No, no, I
That's
won't.
wrong.
Yeah, this
I'll
is this
just-
is the guest room, and we're not expecting any guests.
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's it.
This is the Who's Going to Be on This Week podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even matter. Don't worry. No, listen, man. Thanks so much for being on. I know we've been working on this for a while on getting you on because you know, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But you've got a
Yeah.
new CD out, right? Is this your third?
Yeah. Third album, although there's no
Album.
physical copy of anything anymore.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
Yeah,
what else
dude, it's-
do you
We,
call
I,
it?
it's funny hearing people still say albums.
Well, that's why I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
CD, and even those don't exist anymore.
No,
I know.
no.
It-
I
it's
know.
funny because today I came up in my memories. My nephew, like 8 years ago, posted on Facebook and said, "Hey, I just found my uncle on Pandora. Go and download his album, Good Catholic Boy. It's 10 years old now." And I actually reposted it and said, "Hey, I still have physical copies of this if you need like some drink coasters in your house or a
Yeah,
bar
right.
or whatever. But if not, just go listen
If
to
you want,
it." So-
you want to get your uncle the trucker a present.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I did a show with Jim Collin one night, and he was selling keys, like a digital key to
Yeah.
download.
To download
His new album?
download card.
The problem is, we were doing a show. It was mostly people over the age of 65.
Yeah.
And
That's-
they're like, "No, we want to buy like your CD."
That's
and he's
when
like,
you
well,
need
no,
a-
this is what you need to do. And he's like, "Ask your niece or nephew
Yeah.
or somebody."
No, that's when you actually need an album.
Yeah,
when they're that old.
I would say probably 10% of the people that ever buy the albums even open them to begin with. Like they're just like, "Oh
Right.
yeah, we like you, we want to support you," and then they
Right.
take it and they throw it in their car, and then
Exactly.
eventually it gets cleaned out in a car wash and chucked into the garbage or something. You know?
It's kind of like a souvenir and them supporting you, like
Exactly.
like,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Ace has got a closet full of support
Right over
here,
I
or lack of.
you know, I bought my first pressing. I bought like 100.
Yeah.
You know, I figured, all right, I'll buy 100 because it wasn't on a label. It was all independent. I bought 100, sold out of them in like 3 months. I was like, oh, that's it. I got to get 1,000 now. I got like 847 of them in the fucking closet over here.
Yeah.
I'm begging
Yeah.
people to buy them.
Hey, I've got a box under that bed with like a smattering of the first two albums.
Yeah, right.
You
There
know,
you go.
Yeah,
my
I know.
kid will throw them out when I die. You know,
Yeah, exactly. What the hell
Hey,
is
you
this?
know what? That
Yeah.
stuff can come back because
Never know.
I don't know.
Albums are coming
Do you know
back.
Rockin' Joe Hebert from Rhode Island, comedian?
no.
And he
I-
does guitar.
No. I was thinking of Smoking Joe. Sorry.
Smoking Joe.
Joe
God,
Holden.
Smoking
Yeah.
Joe Holden. I
haven't
remember
seen
him.
in a while.
Yeah.
But Rockin' Joe, back when he was like 18, 19 years old, wanted to be a rock star. So he rented some studio space in Providence and recorded these two songs. And they were not good songs. They really were. But they've become this online like
Cult favorite. Yeah.
overseas. And
Oh,
he had
so
someone
funny.
reach out to him and say, "Hey, do you have any original copies of this?" And he still had some original pressings, and they would sell him for like hundreds of dollars on
Yeah.
eBay and stuff like
Oh,
that. It
that's
just
really hilarious.
took off.
Yeah, they bought it from him for like $10, and then he looks online and they're selling them for like 500 overseas in Sweden. He's like, "Fuck that! I'm keeping
He's
them." now."
delighted that he's even selling these things to
Yeah,
begin
right.
with, right?
No,
Oh,
no.
it's
So now
funny.
he kept the rest of them, and he's like, "I think I have like 18 left, and I'm selling them overseas for my own."
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
So you
Yeah.
never know. That box
Yeah.
under your bed might be worth
Might be
something.
worth money.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it might be. I'll keep my fingers crossed and hold on to hope. It's like every other thing in this goddamn career.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Now, you speaking of your career, how long have you been in comedy now?
God, 20 some odd years.
Wow.
You
And
know,
where did you
I started when I was 19. I'm 42, so
Yep. And where did you start? You started in like the New England area, right? Boston.
kind
Or-
of, sort of. So I actually started in Toronto, but
Okay.
moved to the New England area. I would, definitely got my sort of start proper in New England.
Mm-hmm.
Only had done it a handful of times in Toronto before moving.
Before moving. And how
Yeah.
long were you around here?
Man, I was there from probably about 8 years,
Okay.
8
Oh,
years.
okay.
something like that, 6 years.
Because I was trying to think. I don't know if we ever worked together on a paid gig. But I
right.
feel like we were at open mics together, like
Or a
couple
show-
of times,
It
or
might have been
showcases.
either Or it was like one of those, stage time free for alls at Comedy Connection or something.
Right.
Did you used to do the one in Faneuil Hall
I don't know if I ever did that one.
Really?
when the connection was in Faneuil Hall?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely went there and watched shows.
Right.
I did a couple of Parada gigs. I did it wasn't Rumors. What was it in the mall there in Rhode Island?
Oh, Stitches.
Stitches. I did a couple
Yeah,
of Stitches mics.
That's what it must have been.
Right.
Yeah, it must have been
right.
like Stitches or a Parada gig.
Right.
I was just with Parada this past weekend. He's still the same. Still booking 400 comics on a show.
Yes.
Ace, brother, I gotta
Hey,
told the owner.
if it
I
ain't
know
broke,
it's-
don't fix it.
Hey, I know the show started at 6:00. They had their chicken palm. They're done. And listen, I know it's 1:45, but they want you to go on, and I want you to do a full 45. I told them it was a full show.
It's like,
Well,
on their elbows.
yeah, exactly.
a Parada show is kind of a rite of passage in New England. You got to do a few Parada shows.
Yeah. And he's a great guy. You know who I still think about from time to time, and just told me one of the funniest stories, which I've retold probably 1,000 times, is Eddie Galvin.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, he's got such a funny story about the original Burt Ward
The original
and
Batman and
Batman
Robin.
and Robin, right? So
Yeah.
funny, but anyway.
Yeah, we've wanted to have Eddie on, but Eddie's the type of guest where we even said it because we had Colleen, his sister, on.
Yeah.
And we said we'd love to have Eddie on, but we need a mediator / translator / someone who can kind of corral
A
him in.
wrangler.
If you're a wrangler.
An Eddie Wrangler.
If
Yeah.
anyone could do it, it's Colleen,
Right. Yeah.
But we haven't had him on.
I feel like Eddie's hiding somewhere, like similar to Saddam Hussein, like where he was found.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some spider cave.
Yeah, you got to slide plywood to find Eddie.
Yeah, and he's got his oven mitt on. Oh, fucking no! He's so funny.
Yeah.
I love Eddie.
Scott,
Now,
I feel like we've done. Scott, didn't we do a couple of gigs together in like
We did.
in Western Mass or Midwestern Mass, whatever the fuck you would call it?
Yeah,
Like,
in the Springfield
Worcester.
area. Was it Worcester?
I feel like, well, yeah, maybe.
God, because I'm just over 20 years now, so
Yeah.
it was right about the same time we were probably doing the same type of spot, same gig. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember running into you, and I was trying to think about it when Ace first said he had you booked on here, and I'm like, God, I know I've done stage time with him. I just can't.
Yeah.
After a while, that everyone starts to blend. I'm like, was it?
I know.
Yeah,
You know what's funny? You know what's
I
funny
thought it
about
might have been
like,
at the
time in this
station.
business?
I know. I don't think you ever did the Station nightclub here, the place that burned down in Warwick. Did you?
I don't think so.
Because they used to do a regular open mic there, and a bunch of guys, Mitch Stinson used to do it there all the time. Tim Kalin
Right.
used to do it. Colleen Galvin used to come in.
Kelly McFarland.
Kelly McFarland
Yeah.
came down. So
Right.
a bunch of people did that one, or in the that was 2002,
Yeah,
3,
early.
and 4,
early 2000s.
right around there. So
What were you going to say about this business?
Oh, it's like this business. Like there'll be people who you weren't even necessarily like cool with or friends with, but if you see them after 15 years, you're like, oh my God, dude,
Yeah,
you're
holy
still alive.
shit. Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I saw
I
Kelly
know.
McFarland, and it was like the nicest exchange that we've ever had. And like prior to that, it was probably also the most we've ever sent to each other in 20 years.
Right, right.
Oh, good to see you.
well, social media also, does that too, because we've had people on, and I'm like, I feel like I know this person, but we've never worked together. I just
That's true, too,
see
right.
their posts on social media all the
How's
all
your
the time.
daughter? This is weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
This
Yeah.
just got creepy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was even thinking about it over the past couple of days, and I know I just made the joke a couple of minutes ago about working for Dick, but Dick Dougherty passed away a couple of days ago,
Oh,
and
yeah. Okay.
and I had never worked for him in all the years I've been doing it. Never worked for him. I met him once at like the second Boston Comedy Festival. He was one of the judges. I had an okay set. It was like Sunday night prelims at 7 p.m. No one had a good set.
Yeah.
But he was nice to me, but I had never worked with him or for him. And so it was really weird how I'm like, I've been doing this 33 years and never worked for a guy who literally was like the Parada of Boston.
Yeah, exactly.
He gave so many people a first shot. But again, I started down here in Rhode Island, and Charlie Hall was like, listen, get good here and then go to Boston. So
Right.
I didn't do a lot of those gigs where people were like, oh yeah, you ever do a Dick Doherty gig? You drive up to like Bangor, Maine, 6.5 hours, and he says he's going to watch you, and then he doesn't end up getting there. And then it was a guest set to have him watch you. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit. You call him and he's like, yeah, I didn't get up there. I had something come up. And it's like, fuck. And I'm not saying he was trying to do it maliciously. It's
No,
just,
I know.
I just never wanted to, because I had a stable day job my whole career.
Right.
I just never wanted to do that where I would drive and possibly not get paid,
I've got a Dick Doherty story where he wasn't really in the story, but
Uh-huh.
so I was God, I forget what shows I was doing. I was definitely doing Jonathan Gates' room in Boston, Slaves,
Yep. Okay.
which is a staple, right? It's an urban room, a black room.
Right.
And it's been running for probably 20 years, and always gets a crowd, and it's always a story. And so I had that show on a Wednesday, and then I had some other show on a Friday, sort of up in New England, and I had like a day in between where I was doing nothing, and I was like, well, why don't I try and get on over at
The vault.
Comedy Bean, whatever the hell it was in the bottom of that place,
Yeah.
Dick Doherty's room. So I called them. I go, hey man, I'm I also learned this lesson. I called a friend of mine, and he was like, hey, do you want me to call him? I go, no, I'll call him. Like, never do that. Always have a vouch.
Let your friend call
If
him.
someone wants
let
to
the
vouch,
friend call, so you're just not another, random,
take the vouch. Right.
So I go, hey man, I'm in town. I'm in between shows, just looking for like a guest spot or something, Oh, I'm really booked this week, but why don't you come by next week? And I'm no, no, like I'm not gonna fucking be here. Okay, so I had nothing to do, so I said, all right, I'm gonna go hang out anyway. Maybe I'll see somebody, see a couple of people. I knew some comics at the time, and so I get there. I'm early. I think it was Greg Howell.
Yeah.
was hosting,
G-Money.
and
G funny.
and was like, oh, so and so didn't show up. Do you want to do a spot? And I was like, oh yeah, for sure. So I went up and I did a spot, had a real good set.
Mhm.
And I see this woman pacing around in the back, right? And I was like, oh, I think that's like Dick's wife.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm killing. She must be like excited about me. So I get off the stage and she goes, are you John Moses? I go, oh yeah. She goes, didn't Dick tell you that he didn't have any room on this show?
Get
And I
out.
go, yeah, no, but I just came to watch my buddies, and
They said there was an open spot.
yeah, they said there was an opening, and I went on. She goes, when Dick Doherty tells you don't do a spot, you don't do the spot.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Who was it? Was it his wife?
It was his wife.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kathy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I
yeah.
said, listen,
Shit.
I've been doing comedy. It was probably 10 years at that point.
Yeah.
I've been doing comedy for 10 years, and I've never worked a Dick Doherty gig. I go,
think I'll be
this
all right.
place is a piss drop in the bucket.
I know. Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people were writing, as much as they were honoring him, they also said you weren't a true comic or from Boston if you weren't banned, or if Dick wasn't pissed off at you at some point.
And
right.
he did that to me when I first started working for him. I contacted him. He put me when he had the China Blossom.
Oh,
He let
yep.
me do a spot. He liked it. He booked me for a couple shows, and then all of a sudden, nothing. He wouldn't book me or anything. And then another comic was vouching for me, and they invited me to their Christmas party. They used to do it at the vault every year, and I show up, and Dick goes, "You're Scott Higgins? Oh, I totally had you mixed up with somebody else." I don't think he says this in front of all the other comics that say it. He goes, "I don't think you're an asshole. It's the other guy
It's
that's
the
the
other
asshole."
guy. Imagine
And it's like, I didn't get work from you for a year because you had me mixed up with somebody else. And then
I thought Scott Higgins came in and did a set when I told him I was booked for the
Yeah.
weekend.
oh, I thought you were John Moses.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were John Moses kind of.
But at one point, he sat me down. He talked to me. He goes, I was an asshole to a lot of people in my
Yeah.
career, and I'm just kind of at the point where I just want to work with people I think are funny and I like,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
are fun to work with. He goes, that's kind of where I'm at, and from that point on, I never really had an issue with them. I mean, they were good to me. From that point on, they kept bumping me up to higher spots, and I was closing shows for them at the end, and they were good to me. But I know why other people say what they say, because I saw
Yeah.
that side of it too.
Listen, I hate every booker except the ones that book me, and then
Of
I'll
course,
find
yeah.
something to like about them. Hey,
have you ever
dude,
booked shows,
that's
John?
Steffi Dresser. Yeah.
Have you ever booked any shows on any type of regular basis?
Not for a long time.
Yeah.
And
No,
you know
'cause-
what? When I, sort of, it was prior. I mean, a long time. It was really prior to like sort of Facebook
Mhm.
Okay.
and like the prevalence of social media. Like, I would say it was probably 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't have everybody hitting me up in my inbox, 100 different comics hitting me up in my
Okay.
inbox. I would just call guys who I knew were funny
you
or
knew.
somebody recommended, and that's how the thing got booked, So
Right.
to answer your question, no.
Yeah, and because if you do book anything on a regular basis and you get to that point where people are reaching out to you and people are bugging you, and then you have no shows and then you have other stuff, after a while you kind of get a little more understanding to some of
Sure,
the bookers.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of them no, because they were just douchebags, right up front.
Right.
But other ones I was like, I get it. I get why they got the way that they were.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know-
It's difficult when somebody always wants something from you and you're always
Exactly.
checking people's motives,
Right. Or when you give them that spot or you give them a shot and they screw you over, like
Right.
there are very few people that I don't even dislike the people that I would say I would never book again. But there's a couple of people that screwed me over like that, where I gave you a spot. I offered you a really good spot. And then I had a couple of people that like, I double booked. I screwed up. Dude, I've been doing this a long time. I have never double booked myself.
Yeah.
Buy a fucking calendar, look in your phone, figure it out. Don't, and then the both of them, both times, double booked themselves. I was going to be paying them more.
Yeah.
And I was going to be giving them more
But they were looking at the opportunity on the other end or whatever.
on the other
Or
end.
what they
because
thought was an
what they
opportunity.
thought was the opportunity. Yeah. And that's fine. And you know what? That just made me, make up my mind that, all right, so I've
Right.
got this other group of people that don't fuck me over, and I'm
Right,
just going to
right.
go book them.
Well, that's the other thing. There's just so many people who are funny and
Yeah.
good. It's like all other things being equal, you start looking at like, this guy's going to do the job. This guy's going to do the job.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Dick, like what Dick Doherty said to you was like, listen, I just want to work with funny people, like people I know who are funny. I mean, isn't that kind of the goal? Like, I just
Yeah,
want to get
right.
to a point in my career where I can only book my friends and hang out with them and party,
Yeah.
Right.
choose
No,
your
I-
own openers. You know what I mean?
I have one regular show that I book now, and it's 4 shows a year. That's it. So it's not a lot. And
When's
I
the next
like-
availability? Let's get that out of the way.
it's-
Who
so-
books that?
message me your avails, John.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing is, 4 shows a year, 4
Yeah.
comics, that's 16 spots in a year. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you promote it online, and then all of a sudden I'll get 30 people reaching out to me, and when I say, oh, I don't have another spot till next year, then some of them actually get mad at you and say
Right.
something. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's only 4 shows. I don't
Right.
have a lot of spots, and we don't use the same people. We bring in new people every show to try to keep it fresh and different,
Of course.
and stuff like
You're-
that.
You're not. I'm assuming you're not in some touristy market. I mean, you've got regulars that need to see new people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in Northeast Connecticut. It's
Right.
it's a very quiet area. So yes,
And it's a theater
it's a
that
theater.
does plays the
It-
rest of the year.
Right.
So
Right.
They only give them 4 slots.
Right,
you know?
it's a 400 seat theater. We're digging our way out of COVID still at this
Right.
point. We still haven't gotten back up to where we used to be, and still people get insulted when they reach out to me. But that's the other thing I was going to say. People will oversell themselves.
right.
People reach out to me and they're like, I want to get on that theater show. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's really kind of a for headliner show. It's guys that are established, people that have been working for a while type of thing. It's not really, I don't have an opener, type of thing. Because I do 4 people each doing 25 minutes. And it's established guys like yourself. And, I'll see this guy has been, in comedy for 2 years, doing open mics mostly, stuff like that. And it's like, keep working, dude. Someday, maybe, type of thing.
Right.
And then next thing you know, they're posting, same old stale shows these people are putting up, and they make all these comments and everything. It's like, whatever, dude.
The thinly veiled
insult.
Statuses are definitely targeted toward you.
Yeah, the passive aggressive posts.
Whatever, dude.
You know what I used to? It's funny, So back when I first moved to Western Mass, if I was getting up 3 times a week, that was a great week.
Yeah,
it's funny. I'm back at those numbers now, living in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And, but if you get up 3 times a week, it's a good week. But give it a month and a half, you've done every room.
Right. Exactly.
In that area, and it's like hey, can I come and do the room again? And without any thought to like the audience that's paying to see it, and the guy
that
trying to book different acts. They say no, and I got pissed. I was like, well, fuck you then,
Right.
Well, and that's why someone explained to me one time about working for 2 different clubs in a smaller city.
Right.
They're like, the only problem, we don't tell people where they can work, but if you're working over there this month, I can't have you here 3 weeks later.
And I get that
it's too small of a market, and we can't oversaturate the same comics. But that I get. They explained it to me. They didn't just say, "Oh, you can't work there." Yeah. That I get, just like you were saying.
Right, but then there's the people, the clubs with the overreach that are like, "Oh no, you can't work anywhere in a 90-minute radius." It's like, dude, how am I going to get good at this if I'm
you mentioned Stitches
once every 6 months,
right? You mentioned Stitches. That was like that with the Comedy Connection in Providence when Stitches first opened. Bill Blumenreich said anybody that works for Stitches can never work for the Comedy Connection again, and he just cut it off. And that was it.
Right,
people had to make
which is a lie, because as long as you're drawing, you can work wherever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
Now I'm not drawing, so I will abide by whatever rules.
Right.
But so, if you have a name.
So you said you started in Toronto. Is that where you grew up?
Yeah.
Are you from there originally?
Yeah.
And did you have any siblings?
Lots.
Yeah. How many?
Well,
he doesn't even count. He just says lots.
Wow.
That's
a new answer.
So 2 sisters from my mother's first relationship, not a marriage, a brother from my mother and my father's marriage, a sister from my dad's second marriage, and then a stepbrother and a stepsister.
Wow. And where do you fit in? Kind of in the middle?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm right in the middle.
Yeah. We've been doing this for like 5 years, and the comic in the family is never the firstborn. I think 5 times in 5 years.
At most.
It's always the middle child or the youngest, because we're screaming for fucking
attention. Right. The youngest has all the attention. The middle child's trying to get it. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
We've had a few only children.
Yeah, they'll do it. Yeah.
That's a good question. That's an interesting question.
That's why we ask it, because it's kind of like a sociological experiment that we've been
doing.
Study we've been doing for the last 5 years.
I've got an only child now. If I can have another child, I am saving her from this life.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So when did your interest in comedy start? Did it start young, or is it something that you learned later in life? I mean, were you a comedy junkie as a kid? You had a love for stand-up, or?
No, I don't think so. I watched Delirious when I was 12 years old.
Oh yeah.
At a buddy's house. And I remember, like, it really did blow my mind.
Yes. Yeah. Did everybody when that came out
talk like that? I was just like, what is that? It was really like one of the wild
that room, right?
I never
sitting there going, how the hell does he's just telling stories and everyone is loving him?
It was just so wildly funny. I don't even think that impressed me. Like, it was just so wildly funny, and the language was just so like, so that was great. But I did comedy when I was 19 at at Yuck Yucks in Toronto, and had a real good set. And then, like, a waitress said something to my dad, who came and watched, like, "Oh, your son was real funny.
Oh wow,
we're gonna see a lot of him." And my dad made the mistake of telling me that, and then I was like,
I'm the shit.
King.
Yeah, right.
Oh, the hook was set.
Oh yeah. So I don't even like attempt to call the club for 3 months, and then I call back to leave, like, to see if I'm going to be on the sink or swim night. I go, hey, it's John Moses calling. Like, they've been waiting.
Yeah. Oh my God, John Moses.
Finally, thank God.
Yeah, So cocky that first call, nothing. And then like
That's awesome.
3 months of calling. I remember I was in high school at the payphone, like dropping the quarter, like to see if my name got called. And then by the time like the 3 months has passed from calling all the time, like, oh hey guys, it's John Moses, like totally whipped and broken, you know.
Sorry to bother you, but
Yeah,
is this a good time to talk?
yeah. Anytime you can call.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
man.
it's like when what is it, Jim Carrey and Cable Guy? Hey Steven, just got out of the shower, thought you might have called. No, guess not. Okay, call me back.
pick up.
Yeah, right. And I've never lost that self-doubt since, you know what I
Of
mean? Like,
course, yeah.
they
All
broke,
it needs-
it's like the elephant, the baby elephant with the chain and the mama elephant with the rope. Like I've
Yep.
never, like they broke me, you know?
That's hilarious.
That's his business. There's no other place I've ever seen where you go faster from hero to zero.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah.
In this business, because you could have the set of a lifetime where you are on cloud 9 and the next day you do a set and you bomb terribly,
Yep.
Yeah.
or you don't get into a club you wanted to get into,
Sometimes
or
it's the
something
same night.
happens, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's even in the same night.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah.
Sometimes same club when you do two shows back to back.
Late show
It's-
Saturday could
Yes,
lift you off,
yeah.
you know?
There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's
Yep.
no rhyme or reason to it.
I was at in Buffalo. They had a Helium that they just opened up.
Yep.
And you know, somebody was trying to work me in there. You know, some you know manager agent who has since fled was trying to work me in there. And they were like, "Well, listen, we can get him in like in 2 weeks, but you know, he's got to host and headline. It's like a competition, so he can go and host, and then he headlines like, you know, for 20
Right.
minutes while they tally the votes. But you know, we'll give him $2,000 and you know, he gets to go to Buffalo. And it was like fucking great. You
Yeah,
know?
right.
So I go and I've got 5 shows to do, like 5 rounds, or maybe it was 3 shows, but it was, or 4, who knows? But it was like 3 rounds of semis and then the final.
Yep.
And the first show, I'm just crushing. I'm crushing. And I get off and the manager comes up to me, is like, man, great stuff. We're going to be seeing a lot of you. And I said, weekend's not over yet, bud. And then I proceeded to bomb the rest of the weekend.
With the same material, right?
In the shitter,
It's
the same
amazing.
material.
Yep.
Going back to the hotel, like, what just happened? Like, what? Did I say a word wrong? Listening to the sets.
Yeah,
And,
Right,
By the end of the weekend, the manager won't look me in the eye anymore.
he's avoiding you the rest of the week.
Oh yeah. Hey, you've seen it. You've seen it plenty of times. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
it's so
Some booker,
crazy.
He doesn't
Maybe
like you,
you're-
just looking over you.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe you're just a Thursday night comic. You know, you do well on Thursday.
No, I think actually that's true now. I think I've come to
Right?
accept that about my career.
So what are some of the high points that you've had? Like people that you've been able to open for that, like you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm with this person, or places that, you know, as a young comic, you're like, oh my God, that's my goal. I want to work that room, or I want to get on that stage.
Yeah. So when I did my first album,
Yep.
I really had no business doing an album. I probably headlined 5 times.
Wow.
And then I was in a competition and somebody goes, hey, do you want to do an album? And I was like, well, like I was at least like smart enough to be like, not yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, about 10 months.
Yeah.
And then I did that. And I worked the shit out of that album. So anytime anybody like offered me, you know, a headline gig or whatever,
Mhm.
I tried to push it to closer toward the album recording. And then I was
Yep.
just, you know, if I had 30 minutes I liked, I was just running new bits. You know, it really did focus me. And I was like rehearsing in my apartment all the time, like just whatever I could do to get this material together. And then that album did really well. And, you know, a couple of places, a couple of these online guys said it was a top 10 album of the year.
Wow.
And
So did you have were you on a label or did you do it independently?
I was on a label.
Oh, okay.
Funny, I met the guy at the Boston Comedy Festival.
Really?
Yeah. And I was listening to was it Mark Maron back then? Fucking 10 years ago, 12 years ago?
He's been doing
doing the podcast that long.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Mark Maron the week before the Boston Comedy Festival, and he's talking to Kathleen Madigan, who is really funny.
Love Kathleen Madigan.
Not my style at all, but absolutely like love what she does, you know.
Yeah.
And I was listening to her, and she goes, "Yeah, I'm fucking suing this guy who recorded my first album."
Holy shit.
I'm at the
and it was
Boston
that
Comedy
guy.
Festival. This guy goes, "You want to record an album?" He goes, "I did everybody's first album. Richard Pryor, Kathleen Madigan." And I had just heard the week before that she's suing him. And I'm like, well, I'm not suing anybody for it. Nobody owes me any money. So that's like a problem I'd like to have.
exactly. Oh
So-
my God.
So we do the album, and it gets like, you know, it's well received.
Yep.
And a couple of doors start opening up. And you know, all of a sudden I've got like an agent and a manager, and the agents are like, "Oh, you know, go work this club, you know, a great club out in Minnesota for $2,500." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, you know,
Wow.
sure beats, you know, $350 at a VFW or whatever."
Right. Exactly.
And,
yeah.
So I got passed at the Cellar,
Yeah.
at the
Which
Comedy
is
Cellar in
huge.
New York,
Nice.
Right.
which was awesome. And you know, doing a spot after fucking Dave Attell,
yeah.
and you know, doing all right, and feeling good about it. And you know, him going long and coming off and apologizing, and
Yeah.
I'm like, Dave Attell's apologizing to me, you know.
Right. Oh,
And,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But also, like, he's going long, and it's the Late Show, so he's kind of fucking me because I got to get uptown to host an amateur strip contest for $300.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, no problem, Dave. But you know,
Yeah.
Could you move it along?
yeah. And of all the guys there, I always thought Kurt Metzger was just the funniest, and like,
Yeah.
Kurt is hilarious.
and I actually like one of the guys I dreaded following, you know.
Yep.
But that was a short stint. I was, you know, probably in there for 10 months. Maybe I, you know, did 12 or 15 spots. And for the most part, felt like I always was right in the middle of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Except one night, John Hamm was there.
Really?
I was driving to do my spot, and I'm driving, and I'm a big Mad Men fan at the time, you know, because I didn't see the last season yet. and I see Roger Sterling.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I forget his name, but I'm just driving, and I go, "Is that fucking Roger Sterling?"
Yeah.
And then I go, "Ah." And then so I park the car, and I go in the cellar, and John Hamm's there, and there's a murmur. And again, taking it back to Mark Maron,
Yep.
I had just heard John Hamm on Mark Maron, and he's talking about what a fan of comedy he is. And in my mind, I'm like, this is it.
I'm winning him over.
Dude, John Hamm, I was like, John Hamm
Of course.
is about to
Hamm
cast
is
me at Mad
discovering
Men.
me. Yeah. He's discovering me, and he's going to ask me to do a guest spot on Mad Men. Right.
Those are the things that are going through
Of
my
course.
mind.
Oh, yeah. How could
You
it
know?
Of
not?
course.
How could it not?
I'm texting my wife, like, John Hamm's here, you know.
Your man crush is
Yeah,
coming
right.
out full
Oh
force.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I'm
Oh, yeah.
spewing. And while this is happening, you know, the waitresses are like going nuts. And I see he goes to order a drink from a waitress, and he grabbed her by the back of the head and pulled her in to whisper his order in her ear. And I was like, well, that's a little weird. So
Yeah.
I go on stage, and John Hamm's buddy is rip roaring drunk and starts heckling me. Now, normally I would just smash a heckler to smithereens,
Right. Yeah.
but I'm like, I'm not that comfortable in the cellar yet. It's John Hamm.
right.
The only reason why they're even letting this guy say anything to begin with is because he's with John Hamm.
right.
You know, it ended up being in Page Six the next day, like that he was there, not that he ruined.
Not
my
that he was
set.
ruining your set.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And I just I melted. I shrank. I shrank. And then I
Yeah,
got off
right.
stage, and I go upstairs, and the waitress goes, John Hamm was down there. She goes, did you see that? Did you see what he did to me? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, that was the hottest thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
There's no Me Too in that.
There's no Me Too. There's no Me Too when you look like John Hamm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you look like John Moses, Scott Higgins.
Oh yeah, I
It's
grab a
Me
by the
Too.
head and whisper an order in.
Exactly.
It's funny. If you look like Harvey Weinstein, me too.
Yeah,
You look like
exactly.
John Hamm. That's
the
fine.
hottest. Yeah.
That's good.
More, please. Yeah,
Like talking to my microphone.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Holy shit.
Now, John, when we Google you and we see your description, one of the first lines is that you've been delightfully offending audiences throughout the United States.
Yes.
So obviously, you're a comic that doesn't mind pushing the envelope a little bit with your material, which I love. Comics that do that. In light of recent events with comedians, and just last night with Dave Chappelle, I'm sure you've heard about that.
Yeah.
Today, as every comedian has. Have you ever had any, besides hecklers, which we've all dealt with, have you ever had any real serious moments of someone in the crowd, maybe challenging you or being offended? And because we had an episode a few weeks ago where we had a panel and we kind of got into, as we called it, unruly crowds or crowds that go too far, type of thing. Have you experienced that when you're pushing things the way that you do?
When I was real just starting out in Toronto, it was the Pope. It was like the World International Youth Day or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
The Pope was in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I made a Pope joke, and there was some guy, some young kids there that were there for the Pope, and one of them chucked a rocks glass at me. Which
Really?
Yeah, he missed. It was, it wasn't even close. My buddy up in Toronto, Darren Frost, got hit with a rocks glass, and
Really?
that video's out there on YouTube circulating.
Wow.
But no,
But nothing recently.
nothing, not really.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of guys challenge me from the
Yeah.
stage. One was in Staten Island, and I was like, all right, let's go. And I was outside. People were coming out, and he was with a crowd of guys, and he walked by, and I was thinking, all right, we're gonna go in the parking lot. Like the way he was talking in the show, I was like, oh, we're going outside.
Right.
And then nothing materialized.
They just all walked out.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, I was at Slade's in Boston, and this is the last time I did that room. And this guy walks in, and it can be a little unruly in there in the best of times. And this guy walks in. I'm 6'2" and some change, about 225.
Yep.
This guy walks in, and he's 6'4", 250, but looking like he just got out of jail.
Yeah.
And
teardrop tattoo. under his eye.
the big long dreads, which my friend said, oh, that's because he was in jail, man. So he comes in and he goes to push past the door guy that was working there. Yeah. And the door guy is this old dude. I don't know if he was blind or deaf or something, but one of them. And he's giving him a hard time. And I was like, hey, buddy, you going to give this guy a fucking hard time over $10? You're going to violate your probation over $10. And so he starts moving toward the stage, and I'm rolling.
You're ready to go.
I'm zinging him. And he's big, and I'm thinking my only shot in this situation is for him to just assume that I'm a white pussy.
Yeah.
And to punch through him with my leverage from the stage.
Yeah.
And then immediately run out the door after I hit him.
Sucker punch from the high position and run out the exit.
Yeah. So I'm planning this out, and then he gets close, but then the crowd is turning on him a little bit. So, they're with me. So I'm like, okay, great. Now, normally, Jonathan Gates, the guy who runs that room, does a good job of policing it. But, John is at the time probably 50 something.
Yeah.
And, doesn't do a lot of cardio. As nice as I could put that.
He's a portly guy.
Yeah.
I worked with Jonathan once. Yeah.
And but he would yell at guys, and I was always amazed at how he would control the room. Right. He'd be like, shut the fuck up. And they'd be like, all right. So he goes up to him and starts saying, doing this piece. And I'm watching this from the stage. I'm still doing material, but I'm watching, and I can just see him. Right. And he's like,
Yeah.
And then the guy leans down towards him and whispers something. I'm only assuming is menacing, and I can just see him back off.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
oh, shit. All right, I'm
Yeah,
alone.
right.
I'm alone. And then at one point in the show, I realize there's another guy who's getting close to the stage. Who's just going to, and I go, hey, is that your buddy? I go, are you trying to sucker punch me, man?
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I was trying to sucker punch you. And I was like, ah!
Oh my God.
oh my.
Holy
God.
shit.
And then my buddy who was opening for me, I go, hey man, don't let him get closer than you. And it was fun. And if I would have left it there, I
Yep.
probably would have been good. But I kept like at the end before I was closing, I saw him and I was like,
Pushing.
"Da, da, 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 da."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good night. And then normally in that place, I had to wait like an hour and a half for my money for whatever reason,
Yeah.
you know. But not that night. Jonathan came up and informed me the money.
Here's your money, homie.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. and then I was standing right by the door, and my buddy was like, I think we should go. I'm like, no, man, I gotta sell some merch, right? I got those albums. I got these albums that I'm trying to get rid of.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And as that's happening, I'm watching these 6 dudes, all kind of big and all kind of built similarly, starting to close in. And I was like, is this fucking guy with like 6 other guys?
Yeah.
And like he was enough, you know, he didn't need all these other guys. And then I looked and I went, I'm out. And I ran to my fucking car. So,
Oh my
I'll
God.
stand up for myself if I have to, but you got to know when
To
to
a
pull
point.
them, you know?
Until it's Dante Hightower and the whole offensive line of the
Oh,
Patriots,
yeah,
right?
100%. 100%. I was like, nah, I think I'm out.
Wow. When the odds are overwhelmingly against
Oh
you.
yeah, listen.
You got to make a judgment
Listen, you're
call
6'2".
right there.
I'm 5'6". I would have been crawling through their fucking legs. You kidding? I would have been like, pardon me.
I only one time had what could have been a physical altercation. A drunk guy didn't like something I said. My opening line. I didn't even get to a joke. I said an opening line. He started yelling something. I said something to him to try to shut him up, and he started charging the stage. I say charging, but it was more of a drunken stumble over people.
Right.
But he was determined to get on stage and take a swing at me, and I just took the mic and I put the base of the mic up against his chest to just keep him away from me like that. But he kept pushing, and I finally shoved him back. And when I shoved him back, the doorman and the manager were there, and they grabbed him and they took him out. But you know, now the whole room's uncomfortable because they just saw this, and you got to dig your way out of that hole for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And, other than that, I've never really had. I did see doing a show for Matt Jednak, Funny Money Comedy. The manager of the restaurant is just doing the opening announcements. It's not even a comedian. And the lady at the first table takes her full glass of wine and just throws it at him. Nothing's happened yet. The show hasn't even started. And
He's just announcing it.
throws it at him.
Your life.
And I just look at I forgot,
said I wanted Chardonnay.
I forgot who I was on the show with, but it was just me. It was just 2 of us. And I looked at the other comic and I go, gonna be a fun night. Because that's how the show hasn't even started yet. They're already throwing stuff at us. This is good. This is gonna be an interesting night. But that's really that's it for true like people losing control. Not like what we saw last night with Dave Chappelle, where someone runs on stage and tries to tackle you. Or
I almost wonder though if unknown people like us have to worry as much as someone like a Chappelle or a Chris Rock or something like that, because I think people like that guy's probably just trying to make a name for himself. They said he had a fake gun with a fucking knife on it. Like, what are you 1700s with a bayonet? Like,
right.
I don't know what
I don't know.
was,
I don't know.
what was his purpose. What was his reason
definitely
for
those
doing
guys
that?
reach a whole hell of a lot more people, and you can see,
Right.
it just takes one guy with the vendetta and a lipstick list,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I mean, and
but we're just dealing with the drunk masses, and there's no security ever.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, and Chappelle is one that will push the envelope too. He'll hit that special that became controversial, The Closer, with him talking about trans people and everything. He
pushed the envelope.
He pushed things that would push people's buttons, but I thought he did a good job of really kind of covering the subject with it and everything, and did it without I thought he did a good job where he kind of played both sides of it.
No, right,
Without being too judgmental, if you will.
right.
Sure. I mean, I could have used 10 minutes on the topic instead of 30, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I
You
agree
try-
with
you
you.
know, you try
It's
and
overplayed.
yeah,
He was a little preachy with it. He was a
and
little
you know
preachy
what?
with it.
Like there's just no bigger marginalized group of people,
Right,
than
right.
transgendered people. Like they're probably the most bullied people.
Right.
Oh,
Now,
by far.
Does the they them stuff get a little pissy? Yes,
Right,
for sure.
right.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like pick another
Exactly.
target.
Right.
Listen, I'm a guy that punches down all the time, but
Yeah.
2 or 3 punches, guys. That's all I'm saying. 2 or 3.
Right.
punches.
Yeah. Quick hits and then get the hell out and move on.
I like how he justifies it. Hey, 2 or 3 punches. That's it.
Yeah.
Then I'm out.
You don't- you
then I'm running to my car full speed.
You don't need
That's right. That's
you
right.
don't need a full 15-round boxing match.
Yeah.
Right? That makes sense.
I mean, and also there was just at the time of that special. I mean, listen to me, giving comedy notes, but at the time of that special, I just wanted to hear his opinion on so many other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I
Instead
mean?
of focusing on that one thing. for
Yeah,
so
like
long. Right.
we were still coming out of COVID. I mean, we still are coming out of
Right.
COVID. Like
Yeah.
I would fucking tell me more,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Because even the best, think about the best specials like Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Eddie Murphy. It wasn't a half hour on one topic. It
Right.
was 10-minute
Well,
topics.
And
you know?
I think some of that is due to the fact that he put out so many specials back to back to back.
Right.
He did what is
Yeah.
it, 4 of them within
Yeah.
just a couple of years,
Right.
Type of thing. That
Yeah, well-
and you're gonna, not that you're gonna run out of things to talk about.
But in that short a time,
To
you
put-
need to have the
Right.
time
Hell
to
yeah.
come up with a lot more material.
And also like Chappelle's like suffers a little bit from like that Scorsese, like who the fuck edits him?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I
Well
mean?
said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point. He's gonna just kind of say what he wants and stream of
Right.
consciousness if that's what he wants to do.
right. The people are there anyway. They're paying,
Right.
Like the thing he did on YouTube,
Yeah.
where he was performing on his property there in Ohio
Yeah,
and everything
right,
like that.
right.
That was just more of a stream of consciousness type of.
Yeah. What was it? That was called like 824 or something. It
Yeah,
was-
yeah.
Yeah.
I told my buddy, I said that's when they should have given him the light.
That's a good line.
824.
Perfect line.
I say all that, and I do think he is one of the greatest comics
Yeah.
top 10 all
absolutely.
time. So where I'm cracking the top 25,000 list.
Hey,
we
don't brag. Max,
we say that all the time with podcasts.
Yeah.
There are over 8,600 comedy podcasts on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell Ace, I'll pull up the
We're in the top
the
400.
statistics, and I'm like, dude, with 483rd out of 8,600,
We're going
that's
up.
not
We're going
bad.
You're killing
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not bad.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I'll
20%.
my glass is half full, bitches.
I'm happy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's all it takes. So I think we're ready for the question.
The question, yeah.
Our favorite question.
So we always wrap up the show. First of all, thanks for being on. We really.
Oh yeah,
and-
yeah.
and
Honestly,
dude-
it's been a lot of fun. I was like, oh fuck, what are we going to talk about? But it's been a
yeah,
lot of fun.
it goes by like that though. We used to be like, shit, what are we going to talk about for an hour? And then it goes by like that.
Comedians find a way to just fill
'Cause-
the space.
Well, we're
Yeah,
story-
yeah,
It's, it's not a problem.
we're
But I can, but
storytellers,
I can do
you know?
this. Like, if you give me like, oh, we're talking about crime statistics, I'm a fucking idiot. You know,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
like,
right.
but I can
No.
talk about comedy and bad shows and
Well,
green
that's
room
perfect.
fucking hijinks for hours. You
Well,
know?
I'm glad you brought up the bad show thing.
because that's what we end the show on. We always ask our guest, and if you got more than one, because if you've been doing comedy more than 3 months, you've got plenty.
yeah.
We always ask people about the funny bad gig story. And that means that's the gig that, like, it wasn't funny when you did it. It made you actually want to quit comedy or question whether or not you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But the further away you get from it, and you're in the green room and you're bullshitting with other comics and everyone's telling war stories about, oh my God, you're going to fucking hear this gig I had last weekend. And then you're sitting there and you go, oh, you think that's bad?
Yeah.
Hold my beer. Here's mine.
Yeah.
Like it's that gig that is so bad that it's actually funny.
Yeah, this isn't even that funny to me. I don't even think but it's just, you're asking, this is coming off my head.
Yeah.
I was auditioning for JFL New Faces.
Yep.
And the first year I auditioned, it was in a New York Comedy Club, and I had a great set. And, you know, a couple of headliners at the time came up to me and they're like, dude, great set of the night. And I was like, great, tickets punched. Nothing I can do. You know what I mean? Like I did the best I could possibly do.
What I could do.
There's nothing I can do. And then I didn't get it. And then my auditions from then on proceeded to get worse and worse. just the seeds of self-doubt just started fucking creeping in, you know?
Yeah.
And the last one I did, I was at the Creek in the Cave. And I remember, and there was like barely any people there. It was like just for industry. And I remember that my throat, as I started to bomb, I could feel it. And my throat just kept getting like drier and drier.
That's
and
the word.
I could feel my fucking voice getting smaller and smaller as I got toward the finish, right? And I finally hung up the mic. And then my manager at the time goes, "What the fuck happened?" He goes, "It sounded like you were shrinking up there."
It's like the old Bugs Bunny cartoons when they would pour alum on their lips and all the
yes.
stuff. So anyway,
our friend Flintstone in the chair. When
when he gets smaller and smaller.
And then, like, you do these auditions because you want a shot, and it's supposed to go on to propel you to bigger things. I lost an agent that night. I got a phone call from my agent in LA that was like, "Hey man, it's not working out." Like,
Oh my God.
How did you know about it so quickly?
That's horrible.
Shit.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have you're really good at the beginning.
Yeah.
For the first time, and then it just proceeds to go to like you should
Miserable
tell
finisher.
people. You should just tell people like if they see you and you have a really good set, just say, "Look, that's the best it gets. You got to grab me now." Like
So did you
one
did you
show, one
propose-
night, Saturday 8 p.m. That's it.
Exactly.
So did you propose to your wife on the first date?
Yeah, right.
Did you just say, "Listen,
No, but it's gotten progressively worse.
it's not going to be
That's
any better than this. So if you're going to marry me, just say yes now."
A year after dating, she's like, "I don't think this is going to work out."
Yeah, because it's just going to go to shit after this.
Oh yeah,
So
I got a gig in Bermuda and she got to come, and that was the pinnacle, and that was about a year before we got married.
yeah. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
John, what do you got coming up?
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm
talk
at
about the album.
Foxwoods about once a month.
Oh, are you? All right.
Yeah. So
When's the
come
next
up to
time you're going to be at Foxwoods?
that. May 21st
All
or
right.
the
awesome.
20th, the Saturday. It's just whatever that Saturday is.
Are you in the Fox Theater?
Oh God, no! I'm in the lobby.
The lobby of the Applebee's?
He's by the Ben and Jerry's.
I drop a punchline, somebody hits a jackpot. I got to start the joke over. But I'm there once a month.
Hey, it's a check.
It's a gig.
It's
a
a
steady
check.
gig.
My
right?
my album Super Spreader should be available next week. There's been a
awesome.
technical difficulty at CD Baby, but that'll be out, probably within the week. So
All right. Well, perfect, because this will be released next Thursday. So
Right.
oh man, it might be out right now.
That's it.
Perfect. And I'll put a link to buy that in the show
great.
notes.
Yeah.
So anybody that's listening, if you want to check out John's CD and support John, like he said, you can download it and then throw it away. You don't even have to listen to it. Just buy it.
Just buy it.
It'll come up on your running mix once in a while. You just skip it to the next track.
Yeah. Listen
No, but-
one time, because that'll be the best.
But seriously, if you want to listen to a very, very funny comic, you got to check John out.
Absolutely.
He's constantly working on material, and it's always very funny stuff. So you're not going to be disappointed if you download his new album, and then you'll want to go back and download the old stuff. So
Exactly. Yeah. Check out the other two.
That's
What
what's
are the
gonna
other
work.
two albums called?
On the Edge and Upper Middle Trash.
upper on the edge and upper middle trash and
I
super
relate
spreader.
to upper middle trash.
They all sound
I
very
relate
dirty.
to that.
They all sound
should,
dirty.
you should.
I like it. No,
All right, well,
listen.
fellas, thank you so much for having me on, man. I really had a blast.
Oh, John,
seriously,
thank you. That
Thanks
was
for
great.
coming on. And anytime you want to come on and promote something, give us.
Yeah, please,
give
let
a
us
call.
know.
Let us know.
Beauty. I'm about 3 or 4 years away from another album. Thank you.
Hey, listen.
Perfect.
If you want to just come on and shoot the shit again, we're happy to
All
do
right.
that.
Absolutely.
too.
Love that.
Anytime.
Beauty. Thanks,
All
boys.
right, man. Thanks, John.
Take care.
John Moses,
All right.
everybody.
And that was John Moses.
Again,
It was awesome talking to him.
yeah, he's
You know?
a great comic, a good guy. He works very, very hard
Yeah.
at his craft. And if you have a chance, download some of his albums. New one coming out next week, like he said.
Yep.
Check out
Super
the show
Spreader.
notes. You can I'll have a link to Super Spreader in the show notes. You definitely want to check that out because John is a very, very funny comic.
Yep.
So and
It's
he's
great
very
that-
candid with us tonight.
Yeah, it was great to talk to him though, because he's like one of those guys, like we were saying at the beginning. I know him on social media, and I don't know if I ever worked with him other than
Well,
maybe
even he
some
said-
showcases.
And
you know?
even he said, Scott, you and I have worked together, haven't we? I know I've worked with him. I can't place where.
No,
I know I've been on stage with the guy.
right.
You know, and I remember watching him and thinking he's a really funny guy.
Yeah.
I think I've done some shows with Jay Sute and him,
Oh,
you know,
right.
because
Yeah.
Jay and I used to do a lot of stuff in, you know, Middle Connecticut and Springfield area and
Yeah.
stuff together. And I'm
But-
pretty sure John was on some of those shows.
And that's what, you know, we shit on social media, and there is definitely a dark side to social media, but this is one of the cool things about social media.
Yes,
Like, here's
yeah.
a guy that I've admired. I've watched his stuff, and I think he's funny. I couldn't remember if we had worked together, but to be able to reach out and have him come on and talk about his career and his life and stuff is awesome. So,
Great guy, very funny.
Yeah.
So happy we finally had a chance to.
And we
chat
did
with
have
him.
a viewer, Mark Lefave.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, he said hi, and then he said, "Can I have a shot?" So I don't know if he wants to be on the show.
I think he was
it
having a
someone
drink.
Oh! He meant one of these,
I think that's
Twinkies,
that's
which
what.
is very good. This Russell's. So let's.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, Russell's Reserve, a Kentucky straight bourbon.
Yeah.
10-year. It's very good.
Age 10 years. It's got a nice smooth
Yeah.
flavor to it. It's got a kind of a spicy vanilla finish to it. And
Yeah.
it's nice. It's
I
nice.
like it.
It's a great sipping bourbon. So
It's no old elk, but
very few things are old.
that's
elk,
right.
That's for sure.
But
But
you know what? I bust their balls, but that was a good. That was
we liked it.
We did like it. I
we
just. I think because it's too close to Old Spice, it sounds like
the fact that it's called Old Elk
Yeah.
and the fact that the top of it had this weird cork to it that was like
it was
made
like
from
a
an
block
elk's
of wood.
horn.
Yeah,
you know, type of
yeah,
thing.
It's like you're gonna pull antlers out of the
It was
fucking
like,
bottle.
you know, it was just kind of weird, but it was good. It was
Yeah.
tasty. But yeah, Russell's Reserve, straight Kentucky bourbon,
Try it.
very good. The 10, we got the Reserve is the one we have tonight. They also have a small batch as well.
Yeah.
But the 10-year-old Reserve, very good.
Yeah, very good.
So definitely check them out. And yeah, we're coming into a stretch here with some
With
decent guests
guests.
coming up.
Well, I love the fact that hopefully, if he hasn't, because he was supposed to be originally on tonight, then he got pushed because he wasn't going to be back in Rhode Island this early.
Is he going to
So,
be in studio?
He's supposedly going to be in
I
studio.
can't wait.
And here's the thing. Here's one of those guys that we had him on a couple of years ago. He's one of our favorite guests. We had such a blast with him. Then I got to work with him when we did the thing for the Bradley Theater, the fundraiser for the Bradley Theater
Yes,
out in the field.
We did an outside show for that.
I loved working with him. And now he has blown up on social media.
Oh my god!
I
his
was, and now
TikTok
I'm doing
is
impressions of
huge.
him. That's
Yes.
how big he's gotten. Because I'm like, here's the thing. Get over it.
I do it
and
too.
Just move on, okay?
I do it at work all the time. I'm like, so if you have like stuff to do,
Just
but
do
other stuff is stopping you from doing that stuff, maybe you don't worry about that stuff and you do the other stuff, and then you won't have to worry about that stuff because you got the other stuff done.
He kills me.
He's
He absolutely kills me.
brilliant.
So
Absolutely brilliant.
Rodney Norman is going to be on. He's on TikTok. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook.
He's got a dry
he's
bar
on
special.
Reels. He's got a dry bar special. He is just one of the most naturally funny guys, and it's just because of this character. That's kind of him.
It is part of him.
It's part of
It's
him.
definitely part of
Because
him.
if you remember back to our episode with him, when he ever said, and it was the title of the episode, he said his grandmother said if you ever swore sewing needles would sew your mouth shut. No.
Dragonflies
Dragonflies would sew your mouth
would
shut.
sew your mouth shut.
I just think that's so funny. And now when you see him on his thing, it's like
Makes perfect sense.
like even he posted one the other day. He's like, hey, so have your pity party and then move on. That was it.
Yes.
I love him because he's doing these inspirational, goofy things, and it's so funny. So yes, we have Rodney Norman coming on next week on the 11th. Then we have another reschedule from last, or I don't even know. We've had so many people we've had to reschedule. We got Chris Roach from Long Island coming on.
Yes. He was on the CBS sitcom with, I'm going blank on his name, Kevin James.
Oh, Kevin James. Yeah. Is it
Kevin Can Wait.
Can Wait.
He was on the Kevin Can Wait series.
Yep. Very funny. I checked out some of his stuff on YouTube.
And he's a
Very
super nice guy.
self-deprecating
Very
and
self-deprecating.
Loved it.
Very funny. Him and I worked it, and I worked with him with one of our previous guests, Paul Bond.
Oh yeah.
It was Chris Roach, Paul Bond, and myself
Oh, that must
on
have
a
been
show together.
awesome.
And we had a blast. We worked a whole weekend together and had
Must have been fun.
such a blast. And he's a super nice
Well,
guy.
and
So
didn't Chris Roach come up on the Rich Walker episode?
Yes.
He said that we needed to get Chris
Yes.
on as well.
Yes.
So
Rich Walker knew him as well.
we're working on that. Well, we've got him coming on. I'm working on getting Doug Key and Katie Latimer from the Rogue Island Comedy
Love
Festival.
to talk to them again.
We're trying to get them on right before the festival so that we can promote that. We will have Jimmy Cash on, another YouTube and TikTok sensation.
His TikTok is hilarious.
Janitor with stamina, and it's basically he plays himself. He plays the teacher. I love how he just puts a napkin over his head like an old timey teacher with a kerchief.
Yes.
And then he plays like little kids and
Yes,
some of the stuff
yeah.
the little kids say. But janitor with stamina,
Very funny guy.
TikTok. But it's funny because here's a guy that is, and Rodney's the same way. They're utilizing TikTok in a very smart way. They're blowing up on TikTok, but they're also funny stand-up comics. They're
Right.
not just funny people on TikTok that then get booked at a club and can't do a fucking stand-up routine.
No,
you know what I mean?
They're already comedians that can do
Right.
a set and then using TikTok.
Mhm.
And they're not showing clips of their set or anything like that. They
No, they're
created
just-
something
Yep.
different that is still funny and entertaining.
Different way
and
to be funny.
engaging
Yeah.
that you want to go on and watch. If I didn't know these guys, I would still watch this stuff
Right.
every day.
And then be pleasantly surprised if you went to a comedy show to
Yes,
see them
yes,
and go, oh, wow, they're not just funny on TikTok. Like they're
Right.
legit comedians.
right.
you
Right,
know?
exactly. So it'll be fun talking to Rodney, and finally when we have Jimmy on as well. So
So we're working on some other ones. Working on Frankie Pace, who is one of the original Boston comics as well.
yes,
Who's out in Vegas right now. Peter Liu, very funny comic from Boston. Kevin Flynn, the creator of the Nantucket Comedy Festival, is going to be coming on.
Huge fest. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim Carrey has gone out there
Yeah.
and spoke at that. Matthew Broderick was on a couple years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a
It's
legit
a really good one.
big festival.
And
so.
Kevin's one of those guys, even when I reached out to him, he's one of those guys in all the years I've been doing it and he's been doing it, never worked together.
Crazy, isn't it?
But as soon as we were going back and forth, he goes, I'd absolutely love to be on, brother. Like, like there's that camaraderie. That's what I love about.
It's weird that there are guys in our backyard like that you've never worked with.
Yep.
But then there's this guy from Alabama, Tim Stanton is his name. Very funny comic.
Yep.
I've worked with him twice,
Really?
and he's from Alabama.
Does he know anyone in Kentucky by any chance?
I have no
Or
idea.
Tennessee. So we can do this Bourbon Trail thing.
Tim probably does because he
Well,
works the country.
You work
but,
on booking that for next summer.
But I'm just saying it's weird
Yeah.
that I've worked
No, I
with
know.
this guy twice and he's out of Alabama, but I've never worked with Kevin Flynn.
right.
I've never worked
Yeah.
with these guys in our backyard.
Yeah. Well, I've said it before. I've worked with Steve Sweeney twice in my entire career.
Yep.
And I've worked with Gavin once in my entire career.
I've never worked
But
with
then
Gavin.
everyone has worked with both of them. But then I used to work with Mike McDonald like on a monthly basis. It seemed like
Never-
it's just weird. the
Yeah,
way
I've
it
never worked
happens,
with
you know?
Gavin, but I've worked with Sweeney several times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
it's just
And there's two people that, you know, they're on our dream wish list. You know, it's just tough to nail them down. They don't do a lot of podcasts.
no.
You know what
and
I mean?
and they're both busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Sweeney's been doing a lot of movies lately and stuff like that.
Yep.
But, you know, maybe one day we'll keep them on the wish list. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in,
yes.
as you guys always do. Continue to support the podcast. If you guys, I've been trying to include in the show notes the link to our merch. I am wearing the 100% shirt, which is my famous saying.
I have to order one.
100%. Ace's famous saying, to your point, is also available. We have 4 different designs on our merch page. You want to help out the podcast? There are 2 ways to do it. One, costs you nothing. Go to wherever you download your podcast, give us a 5-star written review, and that's a great way to help us move up in the rankings. 2, you want to help us out financially. You want to help us actually move up in the world and be able to afford maybe some Pappy Van Winkle
Yes.
or some higher end bourbons. Then go to our merch page, buy some merch. There's t-shirts, there's coffee mugs, there's hoodies, there's all kinds of stuff. And there are 4 different designs to choose from. 100%, to your point, the original, the OG behind the funny. And of course, live from the Ace.
Live from the
So all of those are available now on our merch page. So please check that out and support the podcast.
And please continue to listen. And if you enjoy it, tell a friend. If
That-
you've got
Great
friends,
way to support the podcast.
if you have friends that enjoy podcasts, if you've got friends that do a lot of work on the road, they got a lot of windshield time, as we call it, please tell them about us and let them enjoy it as well. So listen, folks, we got some great shows coming up. My stress level will hopefully go down from all the reschedules and and actually get to talk to guests. But we hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We love talking to John Moses. And other than that, we will talk to you
next week.